Could Algorand and Hedera prevented the Aave swap disaster? We're going to dig into that today, along with crypto prices on the rise finally. That's nice to see. We've actually had a couple, come to think of it, we've actually had a couple weeks of rising prices, although it might not feel like it because it's so far down below what we had. But that's the stuff we're going to get into today. Hope everyone's doing well out there. Chat is very quiet, but we are here. We are ready. We are live and ready to talk to you about crypto. Starting at 11 from now on, I think. It's just a little bit better of a time. It gives me more time to work on other stuff in the morning, and I think it'll be better for you guys as well. Going a little later, I've noticed the audience tends to perk in after 11 anyway, so hopefully, yeah, we'll be trying out this new time going forward. So thanks everyone for being here. We are the FrugalBC YouTube channel and podcast. You can get us on your favorite podcast app as well. Check that out. And if you're watching right now, please hit that like button. It really helps. Like I said, you don't have to smash it. You can just press it ever so gently. Really important to get that early as possible, so it starts spreading the news, starts getting the video out to more people, especially live. We want a big audience as possible, so that way we can have a nice healthy chat, and we can spread the news about Algorand, Hedera. That's the news we're going to talk about today. I'm really excited to get into the crypto charts today because there's so much good stuff happening, and it's going to be a lot of fun to look at that. So we're gonna dive into that. I got a nice slate of Algorand news, nice slate of Hedera news as well. One of those weeks I didn't really have to go searching a ton. I had already naturally tagged. You got Green Blue Algo in the chat. Welcome to the show. Thanks for being here. Says congrats on getting Reddit traction for articles. I appreciate that. And you know what? I'll tell you what. On Reddit, I post and ghost. I never I got it must reset or something. I never checked it. I have not looked at a Reddit comment in I don't know how long. But I should have hundreds, to be honest. I think it's just too embarrassing for them, so they don't post it. But I do not check Reddit. Let me tell you, that place is a cesspool. I mean, people say X is a cesspool. I've had way worse experiences on Reddit, so I just don't post. I post and ghost, and I do that with my other business too. I just simply don't want to see. It's a good way to get traction. I'm going to look at other ones too. And so people don't know what Green Blue is talking about, I also have, it was a Substack. I moved it to Beehive, mostly because I didn't like that Substack doesn't let you separate your publications. Like I have a local news business, and I don't necessarily want those people, not that I mind, I guess. A lot of people associate crypto with scam, and I I really wanted to keep them very separate. I mean, if people find out, whatever, I don't necessarily want to make it like, I want to make it really clear that they're very separate things. And it made it really hard to keep them separate. I didn't want it to be linked to my authorship. And no matter what, it shows up because people follow me on my local news Substack. So I moved it over to Beehive to prevent confusion. I really hate Beehive. Honestly, I think Substack's a much better product. Beehive is let's try to charge you up front, and sure, they only take that one fee versus Substack has a fixed fee, but they're winning when I'm winning, and I like that better. For Beehive is actually winning when I'm losing, because if I'm doing better, they're not gaining from that, so they don't have any incentive for me to gain. I don't mean to dwell on this. I know people are here for crypto, but I think it's interesting stuff to talk about. So it is frugalbc.beehive, which is BEEHIIV.com, frugalbc.beehive.com, and you can check that out. I think afterwards if I remember, which I probably won't, I want to put that link in the first the pinned comment. So take a look there after the show. Green Blue says made it to the 1 million plus folks points threshold. Whew. Might move to ready. Interesting. Yeah, I should look at that. I heard there's a new airdrop maybe live. I saw something about it. I didn't check it out. Folks Finance is like a bank lending platform, like a lending platform on Algorand. And they started on Algorand. They're actually expanded to cross-chain through Chainlink. So they hooked up with Chainlink, which I think was really smart. And they're getting that out to everywhere. So good move on folks' finance part, I thought. It's interesting, too, because there's like all the other chains that are linked through Chainlink, and then there's Algorand. I think Algorand is isolating itself. And I know it's expensive to be on Chainlink, but I think it would be the right move. I think I think it would actually pay for itself, because right now you see it with folks, right? Like there's all the Chainlink stuff and it's all linked together. And then there's Algorand in its own separate silo, and that's not very helpful. Anyway, I don't want to dwell on that. Thanks for everyone for being here. And why don't we just get right to the markets? Because I think this stuff is interesting. And market cap over 2.5 trillion at 2.53 trillion right now, up 0.46% on the day. Coin market cap 20 outperforming that at 1.1% up on the day. And we're actually in neutral territory. People are not as fearful as they were. Remember, we got as low as 5, and that was like, what, a month ago? Not even. Altcoin season sitting at about a halfway point between Bitcoin and altcoins. So can't really say it's either season right now. And we're a little bit overbought. Not really in the red zone, though, as far as a relative strength index. So not super worried about that. And by the way, speaking of CoinMarketCap, they actually reached out to me a while back to be a verified creator. And you were supposed to get this big boost in views if you can post on there. And so I did. I don't know what you get from it. I guess some exposure. So I started posting, and they were like getting tons of views. I was getting followers. It was kind of interesting, right? And then all of a sudden it just shut off like a switch, and I would get like 1 or 2 views on every post. So I just stopped, and they reached out. Then they reached out and they were like, well, how come you're not posting anymore? And I'm like, well, that's because what's the point of posting if you gave me this boost and then you took it away. And then they said something about like, oh yeah, you don't get the boost if you're not posting. I'm like, no, I was posting. I'm like, you didn't understand what I just said. So I don't know. They said, oh, well, it'll be boosted now. And I just haven't bothered, because like, what's the point? I didn't really get anything. It's not like people were coming to my channel from it. I don't know. Maybe I'll try again. It's not really a priority. So Bitcoin at the 74,000 level is actually just below before I went live, and it's popped back up. 4% up on the week. But considering we're in the 60s, this is nice to see. It's a nice pop up. And, if you're in the 60s, I definitely did some buys. I wish I had done more in that range. Ethereum at 2,300. That's not bad. That's 12% on the weekly chart, by the way. And XRP, I'm very close to 3x territory on there, since I used to joke that XRP seemed like it was a 53-cent stable coin, because every time I looked, it seemed to somehow be at 53 cents, but doing a little better now. I'm looking forward to doing my portfolio review tomorrow, which, by the way, if you become a channel member, you can see my portfolio reviews and all my experiments, my ongoing experiments in Algorand and kind of Solana. I'm going to explain that one tomorrow too. Speaking of Solana, at $94. Haven't seen it at that level in a little while, up 7% on the week. It's kind of looking at the top 10 here by market cap. Tron up 7%. And Dogecoin had popped off a little earlier, but now kind of at level. And then Cardano down to market cap number 10 at 6%. I imagine Hyperliquid is going to come up too. That's been a good performer. Green Blue says, I used to get millions of views on my YouTube video. Now I'm lucky. YouTube videos, now I'm lucky to break 10K per video. Wow. I did not know that. I will have to check out your YouTube videos. I never got that high, but they have dropped. I was getting quite a bit more. I started using Gemini for my titles and descriptions and tags, and that gave me a boost, but it definitely popped me back up a little bit, but not as much as like back in the day. I was doing crazy. I was, every video was getting into the thousands. So that's kind of why I'm really focusing more on my other business that actually makes money. This is kind of a hobby, I guess, but it's fun. I enjoy it, and it's not bad. Let's see who's leading the 24-hour Zcash back up after having a nice drop at 14% on the week. River at 8.77, Caspa at 6.3, Aster at 5.86, Meme Core 4.85, Stable 4.6, Immutable X, there's a blast from the past, at 4.4. I was playing, there was a really good, Magic the Gathering style game. I guess maybe Hearthstone, kind of a mix between the two. It actually had some Magic the Gathering Arena developers. It's called Gods Unchained. It was pretty fun. It worked well, I thought. But back in the day, it didn't. The crypto functionality didn't work because the ETH gas fees were too high. I imagine that's been fixed now, but it just cracked me up. There's other reasons I've gotten into them before. I won't get into them today. Dex in the top 10 at 4.5, Filecoin 3.3, Dash 3.32% up, and XDC 3%. Where's Bobby Jonas at? Oh, he's on the. I went down to number 11. Sorry. Where's Bobby Jonas at? He used to be my favorite troll on here, who would tell me about how much superior XDC was to Algorand. I'm sure he's very happy right now. Going to the weekly, Green Blue Algo says not this username. I'd be curious to check it out if you wanted to share, but I understand if you don't want to. Otherwise, I think we're connected somewhere, right? Maybe you can DM me or something. I'd be curious to check it out. Yeah, River at the top of the weekly at 58.65%. Artificial Super Intelligent or FET at 52%. Some stuff really performing. BitTensor. I saw some chatter on BitTensor, up 36% on the week. The official Trump coin at almost 25%. That's ridiculous. Meme Core 21.5%. Mantle at 20. Zcash at just under 20. Dex at 18. Caspa. Where's my Caspa fans at? I know there's some Caspa. Every once in a while, someone says, "Hey, have you checked out Caspa?" At 17.69%, and then Hyperliquid at 16. That's one of the ones I've been keeping an eye on. They've been doing like crazy revenue from what I understand, getting used a lot. Oh, Render right down there too. Near Protocol up there, $1.45. Still under my average buy, interestingly enough. Yeah, Ethereum in the 14 spot. That's pretty good. And what you don't see, and what I point out every week, Algorand, Hedera, almost never in these top 10s, losers or gainers, and there are some losers. Let's see who's losing on the week. Pi token down, as is PayPay. That was actually up recently, so that really had a crash. Kite at 5.7, Morpho 5.6, Sky 4.8, BitTensor 4.26, official Trump at 3.66, Render 3.2 down. We just mentioned that on the week with a huge weekly gain. World Liberty Financial down 3%, and Uniswap. I haven't seen much out of Uniswap lately. I know a lot of people in that universe still use it a lot. So that's our top 10 losers on the day. How about the week? We do have some. Kite's down 31%. I don't know anything about that. Kind of a new entrant into the top 100. I've seen it here recently, not for a while. Not like a long time ago, though. Interesting that they look like they have a fidget spinner for a for a logo. Yeah, Pi 20%. Started by some Stanford PhDs, I think, and I'd actually gotten involved in it early on when it wasn't really even live yet, and you could mine it on your phone just by having networks and whatever. Morpho 11%, number 3. Decred at 10% down. At Midnight 8%. That's the Cardano darling of the privacy world, down. Sky 7% down. Flare 5.26 down. Pax Gold and Tether down, and Tether Gold both down, and then Jupiter 4%. But you don't see Algorand or Hedera on either of those lists, which I think is interesting. Which, speaking of, we're going to go to our sponsor, Haystack, and you should definitely check out Haystack. With my new for popping in my links. Sometimes I remember, sometimes I don't. Algorand under 10 cents, which is not the case for Hedera, by the way. Hedera popped over 10 cents, but Algorand down, still down below 10 cents. Up 7% on the week, down a little bit on the day and the hour. Let's see what else stands out. I'm skipping over the variants of algo, skipping over BTC because that's just Bitcoin. Although it is nice to see in a 30, it's up 8% on a 30-day, which is interesting. Alpha Arcade kind of sitting even. Haystack up a little bit on the week, which is nice. Folks dropping, it's down to 118. Good chance to lower your buys if you bought in at a stupid time. Not naming any names. You've seen a little bit of recovery from Tiny, which is interesting. So and every time I post something about this, it's inevitable on X if I post, hey, this coin is doing well this day. And I'm really specific, it's doing well this day. And someone goes, what about the rest of the chart? Yeah, I know. And, I point this out. This is Tiny used to be trading between 2.5 and 5 cents. And it really held that range for a while. Then it started dropping, and it's been dropping ever since, but now popping back up a little bit. I've been still getting, allotments of Tiny every week, so I might have to cash that in now. It's a little bit higher. Liquihog up 7% on the week. That's pretty good. Let's see. Yeah, Donkey DAO has been doing okay. 16% on the week, 38% on the 30-day. I've been earning a little bit of Donkey DAO from getting those NFTs that some people sent me, and I appreciate that. Begum sent me an NFT. There's a little donkey drop, like Plinko. You guys remember Plinko from Price is Right? They got a little game that you can play with those NFTs, and there's a staking for the Donkey DAO. So I've been staking that as well. Plus you earn DDAO for doing that. Let's see. Pheasant Pluckers. I swear you guys are going to get me in trouble someday because I'm going to mispronounce that. But Pheasant Pluckers up 22% on the week and 50% on the 30-day, which is pretty crazy. Quick reminder, by the way, if you guys are in these coins, you got to take profit. At least make a moonbag. Make a moonbag with a little bit of profit, and basically you remove your risk, right? And then everything's just gains, which is a big reason why my portfolio is in the positive despite the downtrend. BTC BMW says, howdy y'all, my wife going to Algorand party today at South by Southwest. That's pretty cool. Yeah, I saw that. I don't know if I flagged that for a news segment, but I do think that's pretty neat. The other one I want to point out here is Gunna. Actually, there's a couple I'm going to point out. Gunna is having a nice little run lately. Now, this is the daily chart? Not even daily. Let's go down to, like, say a month. Yeah. So now, are we on the hourly? Yeah, these are 4-hour candles. That's a nice run up. I have some Gunna. I think I mostly got it for free, so that's pretty cool. But it's like, I think my total is worth like 3 cents or something like that. So not exactly. Oh, 4 cents, up to 4 cents. That's pretty good. Yeah, can't say that I'm planning to do much with that. The other one that really surprises me is Meta from Cometa. Cometa is coming back and having some green candles lately, and I guess I'm a little surprised. I feel like a chain like that, you just can't go dark and come back. It seems like a bad idea to me. Trust in this space is paramount. And so if you're building something, keep that in mind. Trust is absolutely paramount, and you just can't go dark. You can try to come back from going dark, but the community just usually won't have it. Interesting too that we've seen this from Choice Coin, which is also like an old school one. This is a very interesting pattern. This is something unusual about both of these, where they just have these sudden huge candles up followed by just kind of nothing, kind of flat or even slight downtrend. I don't know what this means. So it means something, but I don't know what it means. But it's very unusual. This is not like a natural pattern that you see. So it's very unusual. I'm like, yeah, this was doing nothing for. That's a weird one too. I think some kind of, I would say manipulation, but I don't think that's even it, because I just think that when you have volume this low, what are we talking about? Like a $66,000 market cap. It doesn't give us volume that I can see. I know we could look at RSI. It'd be interesting to see what that looked like, but actually this one doesn't have indicators, does it? Yeah, this is one thing I don't like about Haystack. And I love these guys. This is the best trading app you can use, by the way. You can do it on here. You can do it on the app, whatever. It's available on both sides, but no indicators that I can put on, like my Bollinger Bands and my RSI, which is really all you need in my opinion. So that's our Algorand assets. We're going to move over to Saucer Swap to look at Hedera assets, including Hedera itself. We didn't see that on the regular chart, so let's take a look. Yeah, HBAR up just under 1%. Actually not sitting at 10 cents. It was up above 10 cents, actually just a teeny tiny bit below 10 cents today. And let's see, yeah, Sauce itself is down 1.3%. I'm kind of skipping the wrapped assets. Bonzo up 4%. That's pretty good. XSauce also down 1.36. BSL up 4.2, 420, if that means anything to some of you guys. Pact token down a little bit, as is Dovu. Yeah, the HTS token's a little flat. I know that I think that's redundant maybe, but HTS tokens down a little bit. Everything kind of in that 1 to 2% range, so maybe we'll just look for some outliers. KBL down almost 3%. Here, XBonzo up 4%, just like Bonzo was. Lehman, I get a kick out of that. I get a kick out of that. Boy, everything's kind of not a lot of excitement here. Sendex up almost 6%. Carrot up almost 2%. Yeah, everything's pretty flat. Our little friend Stickpug is up 4.53%. That is the little token that could. A volume of $19. So you can really move you actually could probably like move the needle on this like crazy. It'd be interesting to see if you just bought, I mean, this liquidity is like $680. If you bought like $100 of this, I think you'd actually move the needle a lot. It'd be interesting to play around with. And that is our Hedera tokens. Like I said, not a ton to talk about on there. Interesting. Very interesting. Well, chat is a little quiet, so meanwhile, I think we will get right to our news. In fact, I want to check something. Hold on, let me see. Let me make sure I got something set up here. So just give me a second. In the meantime, tell me what's going on with you. Where are you watching from? I like to hear where people are watching from. If it comes later, if it comes during the segment, I might not be able to comment, but oh yeah, live. So to make sure I got all my tags and everything right. YouTube can be kind of tricky sometimes, Like it still defaults to education. I even have it set in my OBS to entertainment. I have my OBS set to education, but hold on. All right. It gets pretty good tags, but sometimes I feel like I should add a couple of the more standard ones. So, all right, let's get these set up. 313 says Green Blue Algo. Guessing that's an area code. In Detroit, am I right? I guess we'll start with Algorand, huh? Okay, we'll go with this one. All right. Algorand has been making a number of payment moves lately. The latest is with this Swiss banking concern. We're going to dive into this today because I think this is pretty interesting to lead our Algorand segment today. This is posted by Alex at France.algo. Just in Post Finance, a bank under Swiss Post just added 6 new cryptos to its trading services, including Algo. We got a little Swiss logo there. Post Finance clients can now purchase Algo directly from their bank accounts. Since launching its crypto trading services in 2024, the bank has opened over 36,000 investment portfolios and completed more than 565,000 transactions. So that, yeah, well, 2024. So 565,000 transactions since 2024 on crypto. So that's pretty neat. I mean, that's a nice little bit of adoption there. A nice way to have very easy on-ramps onto Algorand, which is nice. I wish we need more banks like this to add not just Algorand. I mean, it says there's 6 of them, 6 new ones. And I think more and more of these banks would be really, really good. Eddie Gill says Amazon partners with ICP and Cloud Deal. We're going to look at that too, for sure. In fact, why don't we... I don't think I had that one flagged. Wait, is this what this is? No. Yeah, this is back. All right, let's go back. We'll look at that. We'll look for that later. But I think that's a pretty important piece of news. And let's see what else we got. This I thought was funny. Just from Johannes, and I'm seeing some talk about this. I can't believe stuff like Acyclic and Algo.fun is even up for voting in xGov. Algo Foundation don't give these jokesters anything. Pact.fi is the most needed, and of course it has the fewest votes so far, the one that would actually make a difference. So there's definitely some concerns about some of the things. Algorand here says, I like Algo.fun, but as a casual friend, not as a great grant partner. Algo Fund at 789 versus 16,889. Bro, that's not a vote. It's a public execution. So let me see that one. Yeah, Cosmic Champs is on there getting a lot of love. Yeah, Algo.fun definitely getting a major downvote. So, and these are retroactive, by the way. So it's stuff they've already done that they're getting open sourced. The Pact.fi is getting more yes votes than no votes. The random number generator for AVM is at like 19,000 and 0 downvotes that I can see. So a lot of these are winning. I thought it was interesting to look at some of these governance xGov votes. Now I don't actually deal with these, so this one I thought was interesting. Amazon just published a blog on x402. It provided full reference architecture for integrating the protocol into AWS infrastructure for financial services. TLDR of what it covered. X402 revives HTTP's 402 payment required status code as a programmable payment rail for autonomous AI agents developed by Coinbase. And, you know, I've been talking about the need for crypto in agentic payments. This is going to be a huge unlock. It's starting already. Definitely has a long way to go, though. We're going to see more and more of this. So, you know, stay tuned for this. as these agents, like, they're just not going to operate on bank rails. It's just not going to happen. The flow agent requests a sort resource, gets a 402 response with a payment spec, pays via USDC micropayment on chain, resubmits with the receipt, sub 2-second settlement at roughly 0.0001% per transaction. If we're talking about Algorand, that is instant settlement, not 2 seconds, but that's how fast it's going to happen. You can't have settlement going way. Can you imagine how many transactions could get wrapped up or finished? Racked up, I should say. And then, like, what if there's a problem and it doesn't settle? You need this to happen fast for verification. No subscriptions, no API key management, no vendor contracts. Agents pay per use on demand. Every transaction is recorded on chain, giving a full audit trail by design. That's very important. You need that the set of receipts, so to speak. AWS published 3 reference implementations: Agent Core plus CloudFront plus x402, CloudFront plus Lambda Edge plus WAF, and a general guide for monetizing any HTTP app via x402. This is interesting. McKinsey projects Agentic Commerce will mediate 3 trillion to 5 trillion of global commerce by 2030. So this is not something you want to sleep on. And I think fast chains like Algorand, Hedera, and others will be at the forefront of this. Probably even Solana, although I think the failed transactions might knock them out. Catlin Guzman in the chat says, hello, GM, and good morning to you as well. Moving on. I thought this was interesting. If you're a holder of Tiny 100, you're getting very close. Your NFTs are about to unlock their first real utility on TinyMan. More details soon. That was on yesterday. Let's see. Did they post anything new about that? Doesn't look like it. Nope. So stay tuned for that if you're one of those holders on TinyMan. Definitely still a user of TinyMan. I used to use their liquidity pools. I don't anymore. That was a good back in the days of rewarded DeFi. That was a great play, and I built my Algorand portfolio pretty well off of that, which is why it's impossible for me to say what my profit and loss has been. If I go on Haystack, it's like 90%, 96% loss because of all the moving around and stuff I've done. It just doesn't make any sense. You can now claim your full, speaking of folks airdrop, and someone brought this up earlier, you can now claim your full folks airdrop. You have 14 days to do it. Enjoy free money. So, I mean, if you've been using folks, I haven't checked. I know the first round of folks I did not qualify for, but I might qualify for this one. So I think if you have points, you'll unlock something. We'll have to check into the future. Actually, you know what? Let's just check right now. I'll do it live on the show here. And Green Blue, I see your chat. I will get to it in a second. Let me see. They kind of hide it here, by the way, just so you know. Checking eligibility. Nope, I guess I'm a little confused about that. I thought the new one was coming up, and apparently it's not. So I don't know what the deal with that is, but, well, now we know. And Green Blue says, remember they were going to add functionality to para NFTs. Yeah, so keep an eye, always be skeptical of this stuff. Maybe they will, maybe they won't. Algorand Foundation just released this little bit of news, and I'm going to be honest, I don't fully know what it means, but what if debt markets settled in seconds, not days? DASA brings programmable debt instruments to Algorand, atomic settlement, traceable lifecycle events, compliance controls built in, and zero counterparty risk DVP by design. Here's a demo of DBT settlement executing end-to-end on Algorand below. Open source built with Algorand Python by Kuzma. Who is this? Kuzma. That's who he is. Okay. Senior solutions architect at the Algorand Foundations. Follows me. I don't follow him back. I guess I probably should, huh? Well, we'll give him a follow back. There we go. Let's see if people, wonderful, very much. This is from Go Plausible, who, by the way, is building all the infrastructure for Algorand and agentic payments. Excellent builder, really important project on the Algorand blockchain. They say wonderful and very much required feature toward enterprise financial rails adoption of Algorand. Seen a lot of shout outs. If fiat chain gains traction, this could become a core component. Bullish. Autonomous settlement plus compliance baked in, not bolted on. Settlement speed is the next financial arms race. Debt markets settling in seconds, not days. Yeah, people are just saying, like, they're just repeating it. I'm not seeing a lot of insight other than instant settlement. I guess that's nice. Does Stacy still have an NFD? I might like to offload off the Algorand NFTs. Maybe. Have you ever noticed? Wait, is this Stacy with an I? It is, isn't it? Sorry about that. I mean, we follow each other, and it's that hard to find. Here it is. Twitter search really sucks, by the way. Yeah, I don't know. She doesn't use it anymore like she used to. Hold on a second. Let's find out. We're going to find out right now. I think we can search it. Pretty sure it was stacy.algo. Let's see, claimed on the 22nd, and nope, it's good till 2027. So I guess she still owns it, is from what it looks like. There we go. Algorand Foundation CEO Stacy Warden still owns it. All right. Any more Algorand news? We talked about that. Well, I thought this was kind of interesting. The Heiko Oracle just dropped. Ask the Oracle anything about trading Algorand ASAs on the Haystack app and actually get useful answers. Smarter info, better trades on Algorand. Risk meter to determine how much risk you are willing to take. Wrong. Should be YOU''RE, but you get it. Go consult the Heiko Oracle today and let me know what you think in the comments below. Let's test it out. Let's try it out. Why not? We got a little time. Is Alpha Arcade a good investment right now? Consulting the chain. It's pretty neat. Looks cool. It would be more centered. I'm on my thing. Okay. Well, okay. The Oracle stirs consulting the on-chain wins. Alpha Arcade has emerged as one of the most compelling projects in the Algorand ecosystem. A prediction market platform backed by the battle-tested Lofty team with over 50 million in total volume and a growing presence among top prediction markets globally. The Alpha token carries real utility. We'll get to the part where you tell me. Stars align formally for one seeker within the Algorand system. This places Alpha for the more credible mid-tier DeFi tokens, not a meme coin gamble, but still a relatively young protocol subject to the volatility of all crypto assets. For current price discovery, consult Vestige or Haystack. Stars align favorably for this one seeker, but no celestial map guarantees safe mass passage. Considered a moderate risk. So I guess that's helpful. Kind of helpful. I mean, stuff I already knew, I guess, but I don't know. Let's see. How about, like, should I buy DDAO? So I'm going to see what it says here. We're just trying out this. This is, by the way, Heiko, HAYKO, hero-hub.lovable.app/Oracle. So it's a pretty long thing, but you can probably find Heiko. On X, it's probably the easiest way. Risk assessment, very high risk. So keep that in mind. I don't know if I'm really getting a lot of I guess it's interesting. It may be like a little more technical details in something like this, but I guess it's interesting. It's kind of fun to play around with anyway. So that is Heiko on Algorand, and that is our Algorand news segment today. Some interesting stuff. Nothing like, well, I guess the settlement, the debt settlement thing is kind of interesting. I just don't really fully with the DASA thing with the atomic settlement, traceable lifestyle seconds for debt markets. That's cool. Sometimes I wish like they put more context into this, why this is important, what this will do, stuff like that. So part of the communication strategy, which is something I talked about today on my newsletter. You can get that at frugalbc.beehive.com. And I talked about the foundation that, how does crypto need a foundation? And I say that because the Ethereum Foundation is looking at getting away from, it's just trying to build it so that if the foundation disappeared, it would work just fine. And it's interesting to think about, right? Like, we like to think that stuff like Algorand, Hedera is decentralized. Crypto is supposed to be decentralized, but then we have, basically people steering the ship. And do we need that? How do those two things combine? Because they're kind of contradictory, right? It's hard to imagine Algorand not having a foundation right now. On the other hand, I know people are very critical of the foundation and wish they had a little more say. So it's an interesting conundrum, and one we're going to be paying attention to in the coming years. It'll be interesting to see what Ethereum does with that and how that will, whether that will be a roadmap for chains like Algorand or Hedera. I know it's not a chain, DLT, okay. Or whether it'll be a cautionary tale. So anyway, that's our Algorand segment for today. And we got Hedera coming up next. Green Blue says don't need both a foundation and a corporation. Well, that I think we can all agree on. It is kind of crazy. Oh yeah, we're going to start with this one. All right, the internet went crazy last week with news that a user on Aave somehow managed to turn $50 million into about $35,000 worth of Aave. In case you're not paying attention, that's like a 99%, more than a 99% slippage amount. And so some people have been talking about like how chains like Algorand or Hedera solve this because they just don't let it happen. So let's look at what happened first. I think this is a really interesting news item, and it shows the strength of something like Hedera on our Hedera news segment. So let's break this down to start off with. Okay, so this is from Coin Bureau, and they kind of explain how this worked. The biggest single transaction loss in DeFi, a post-mortem of how a user lost $50 million in one click. Recently, a DeFi user swapped 50.4 million of AETH USDT into just 36,000 of AETH Aave on the Aave platform using a COW swap widget. Both protocols have now released reports on the incidents, detailing a mix of illiquid markets, some familiar Algorand fans, user error, and compounding technical failures. So here's the breakdown and how MEV bots, extractable bots, capitalize on the trade. Pay attention to this. This is going to come up later. Interface warning. Aave noted that this user manually acknowledged a high price impact warning before proceeding. Now this just breaks my brain. Okay, if I were doing 5,000, I would be like hyper aware, because that would make me really, really nervous. And, can I afford to lose 5,000? Sure. Do I want to? Oh, heck no. It's still a big amount to lose. And I would be super duper careful if I saw this high price impact warning. I'd be like, holy crap. No. Because that's a lot of money to move. I get nervous when I move like 1,000, and I do move that occasionally. Technical breakdown. COW swap identified several system failures. A legacy hard-coded gas ceiling rejected better quotes. The winning solver failed to execute the trade on chain, and a suspended meme pool leak exposed the private transaction to the public. The illiquid route. Because the better quotes failed, the massive order was ultimately routed through a sushi swap Aave WETH pool holding only 73,000 in total liquidity. Liquidity is an issue for a lot of smaller chains, you know, and I say smaller, I'm talking like anything outside of the top 10. The liquidity starts decreasing. There just isn't a lot of capital floating around to make that kind of trade. Also, always do a test. By the way, good PSA right here. Always run a test whenever you do something new in crypto. Don't, especially if you're going to do 50 million, try $5 and make sure that works. Now that wouldn't have shown everything, but if your $5 turned into $3, you might think, oh, well, maybe I don't want to do that at the level of $50 million. Just a thought. Now here's the real deal here. The sandwich attack. Because the transaction leaked to the public meme pool, an MEV bot spotted the incoming order. It front ran the trade to buy up the available Aave, forcing the user to buy at vastly inflated prices. The bot then back ran the trade by selling the Aave immediately afterwards, netting a $9.9 million profit. This is something that's possible on Aave. It's a major thing that happens on Solana with big trades. And we're going to explain why that can't happen on Hedera. It also is prevented pretty well from happening on Algorand, but we're going to focus on Hedera. The block builders cut to guarantee the exact sequence of transactions. The MEV bot paid the block builder, Titan Builder, who extracted approximately 34 million in ETH for facilitating the block. To prevent this from happening again, Aave is deploying Aave Shield to automatically block swaps with a price impact above 25% by default, while CowSwap has patched its legacy gas limits. But imagine that. Why not just do that? Why didn't you do that all along? It's crazy. I mean, obviously, no one benefits from a 25% loss, let alone a 99.999 repeating percent loss. But anyway. Kimchi posts, just use Hedera. A recent Aave DeFi incident shows how fragile many on-chain systems still are. A user attempted to swap $50.4 million worth of AETH USDT, but received only 36,000. Yes, and we talked about all this. Illiquid routing, meme pool exposure, MEV bots, block building incentives, everything we just talked about. Why this happens on most chains. Most blockchains rely on a public meme pool plus gas priority system. That means transactions sit publicly before execution. Bots scan the meme pool for profitable trades. Validators, block builders choose transaction order, higher gas fees by priority, which creates an environment for maximum extractable value. Bots like front-running, sandwich attacks, and priority gas auctions. Why is Hedera different? Hedera uses the Hashgraph consensus algorithm, fundamentally changing how transactions are ordered. Instead of block proposers and gas auctions, Hedera relies on fair ordering via consensus timestamps, which I think is really, really important, because front running is absolutely impossible because they're all done in a specific timestamp order. So you just simply can't do it. The ability to manipulate transaction placement is dramatically reduced. I would say, well, maybe that's being fair. I would say eliminate it entirely. I don't see how it happens, but maybe there's something I'm missing. Also, ABFT security, which is the asynchronous Byzantine fault tolerance, mathematically fair ordering, deterministic finality, resistance to validator manipulation, and no block leader controlling the execution. No gas auctions, and predictable USD denominated fees. That's also helpful. One thing I really like about Hedera, this is the fee, and actually I think this is wrong because they increased it to 0.0008. But maybe that's for really specific transactions. I don't remember, but I believe that actually is out of date. Anyway, I think this is we can go into the details, and you can read this on Kimchi's X account, one of my favorites. We do follow each other, so there's that. But I think it's got a good breakdown here of why that wouldn't happen on Hedera. Also with Algorand's instant finality, also not possible to do that. So those are two chains where it's not possible. I thought this might be interesting to watch. This is from the Hedera community. Fragmented inventory, multiple intermediaries, different currencies, and refund logic makes settlement a major infrastructure challenge. On-chain rails can help improve transparency and coordination across multi-party payment flows. This is Zenitravel on Hedera. It's the leading white label travel selling platform offering no code, low code, and API solutions for selling bookable travel at wholesale rates. And that's interesting. Let's see what they have to say here.
The biggest cross-border payment problem in the world isn't banking, it's travel.
So travel is the largest cross-border payment problem in the world in terms of security, in terms of fraud, in terms of counterparty settlements. Aggregation is also a cross-border aggregation. You have more than 2 to 3 million hotels or vacation rental, or people are purchasing the travel in different currencies and it needs to be settled in different currencies between multiple parties. So the aggregation problem, distribution problem is also huge because you're not only aggregating, you're distributing. So aggregating the hotel inventory, aggregating the flights inventory, and distributing it to large players is also a major problem. Solved by a couple of players, but in a complete isolation and in benefit to them. So there are 3 to 4 major angles in travel. Zeni has basically built the infrastructure like Jonathan explained here. He's embedding the wallet for the machine. We are embedding the wallet for every single user in the ecosystem, whether he's a B2B supplier, whether it's a user, whether it's in a major hotel owner. So we're embedding the wallet layer. And that wallet layer basically captures every single transaction happen within the ecosystem on chain and tie it to a promissory note. For example, let's say you made a booking reservation in London. Luke goes on in Zeni-powered super app, let's call it Uber here, for example. He goes in Uber, you book a hotel in London. Now what happens is there are 3 counterparties, you, Uber, Zeni, and there are more, which you don't know about. The hotel itself, but there might be a supplier in between who is giving you the inventory, and it needs to settle into that currency. So if everybody has a wallet, we can create a smart contract around the transaction, and we settle these parties based on the cancellation rules. So you don't have to chase your money. If there is refundability, people get paid, and they don't have to send invoices to each other.
You know, it would be really great is if they did that for, this is why I like the airline. I like the TravelX thing on Algorand when they were using Algorand NFTs to mint airline tickets, as you could sell them. And I think the refundability could have been built into a smart contract. That's probably why the major airlines didn't like it, because they knew the puck might kind of skate that way. I mean, they didn't like that you could resell your tickets. I'm sure they didn't care for that. They make money when they sell you a new ticket. Why would they want people to be able to sell old tickets? It's not in their interest. It's the same thing I said with Web3. Web3 video games is like, well, why would a major company want to sell you an NFT that you can sell to someone else when they could just sell you a new product? I could see a thing where if they built in a cut where they get like a 10% cut when you resell it, that I could see them liking a lot, because they can take old stuff that's maybe not in production anymore and make money off of that. So there's a possibility, but I do like, you know, obviously from a technological standpoint, that makes like a ton of sense. What else we got? Hashgraph has joined the Agentic AI Foundation as a founding member. We're proud to represent Hedera and collaborate with global industry leaders to build open, interoperable infrastructure for the next generation of Agentic AI. And this is just one more push we're seeing from Hedera, from Algorand, from all these cryptocurrencies of embracing agentic payments. It's coming. Yeah, it's just going to be inevitable. So you got to pay attention to this stuff. ETH Global says Hedera is bringing $15,000 in prizes to ETH Global cans. Hedera is an enterprise-grade public network with native tokenization, smart contracts, and consensus already in production with major institutions. So I thought that's just a fun little item. Nothing much to comment on there other than just kind of presenting it to you. But this, I think, is interesting. This is from Chris at Nuggets, which is an Algorand ASA. So you might be wondering, why are we talking about this here? Well, it's now going cross-chain, according to Hedera. So from chain to chain, the bridges grow stronger. Void, Base, and Hedera, one nugget connecting them all. Built on Algorand, ASA, there's the number. Now on Algorand, Void, Base, and Hedera. So kind of nice to see that Algorand crossing over like that. Two more I thought were pretty interesting, and then we'll camp off our HBAR segment. Next week, HBank will implement the USDTO bridge connecting Hedera to 20 plus chains through the Omnichain infrastructure powered by Layer 0 and developed by Tether. At the same time, our CEO has submitted a new RFC to SaucerSwap Labs, proposing the creation of incentivized liquidity pools to help accelerate adoption across the Hedera DeFi ecosystem. Interoperability is the future. The future is now. Now, I like that. I like the creation of incentivized liquidity pools. That is an opportunity for you, okay? Oh, you're going to do that thing. Oh, why would you do that? Okay. That is an opportunity for you because these incentivized pools really are really great opportunities to earn. I was making so much money on my Algorand liquidity pools during the DeFi rewards period. When Algorand was like between 40 and 60 cents, I was getting up between $10 and $15 a day just from holding this stuff in liquidity pools. It was insane. So pay attention to that. And that is a good partnership with Layer 0, something to keep an eye on for sure. Am I following HBank? I think I probably should. I'm going to follow them. And last but not least, I thought this was very interesting to camp off our segment. HBAR just got a massive TradFi boost. T-Rowe Price filed an amendment number 2 today for their active crypto ETF. And HBAR is officially one of 16 eligible assets, along with Bitcoin, ETH, Sol, XRP, Doge, and more. The 1.8 trillion AUM giant is actively managed, spot only, 5 to 15 holdings at a time. Real institutional money can now flow into Hedera based on fundamentals. I see. So it's eligible. They aren't going to necessarily be holding them all at once. Maybe this will show. I want to see what the whole list is. So this might just take us a second. Let's see. Bitcoin, ETH, Sol, XRP, ADA, Avalanche, Litecoin, Doge, Hedera, Bitcoin Cash, Chainlink, Stellar Lumens, Shiba Inu, and Sui. All could be included. That's all right here. All could be included in this ETF. So definitely some good news for Hedera to be inside with. It might be the lowest, maybe not. With some pretty big cryptocurrencies, another ETF adoption for Hedera. Good news for the chain. And I believe that caps off our Hedera segment. I appreciate everyone tuning in for that. Interesting stuff, for sure. Well, guys, I appreciate everyone tuning in today. I hope everyone enjoyed the show. Thanks for tuning in at the new time. I suspect that the lower audience today is because of the new time, but we will be doing 11 a.m. from now on. And I probably have to change some banners and stuff like that too. So anyway, yeah, thanks so much for tuning in. I hope everyone has a great day out there. Nice to see crypto going the right direction for a change. And otherwise, I will see